It was a bustling afternoon in the city, the streets alive with the usual noise of traffic, horns blaring, and people rushing to their destinations. But on the 9th floor of an old building, a moment was unfolding that would stop everyone in their tracks. Ali had just stepped out of a nearby cafe, sipping his coffee, when he noticed a small crowd gathering on the sidewalk. Their eyes weren't on each other, they were all looking up. Curious, he followed their gaze and froze. A man was standing on the narrow ledge of the 9th floor, precariously balanced, every muscle tense, as if the slightest movement could send him plummeting down. The wind teased his jacket, tugged at his hair, and the sounds from below, the shouting, the gasps, the click of cameras, seemed to fade into nothing. The world had narrowed to just him, the ledge, and the void below. People were screaming, crying, and some were recording on their phones, thinking it would make for a viral clip. Others had frozen, paralyzed with fear, unable to take even a step closer. Panic was contagious, and yet, in the middle of the chaos, Ali felt a calm settle over him. He didn't hesitate. Ali moved closer to the building, carefully making his way to the ledge. Each step was deliberate, controlled. He glanced at the crowd, noting the fear in their eyes, the tension gripping their shoulders, but he didn't let it distract him. The man on the ledge glanced down, seeing faces blurred with panic, and Ali's calm figure emerging against the edge of the building. For a moment, their eyes met. There was no recognition, no shared history, only the raw intensity of the present, the fragile line between life and disaster. Ali crouched slightly, careful not to startle him, and spoke in a soft, steady voice. His words carried no judgment, no panic, just reassurance. Every syllable was meant to anchor the man, to remind him that there was a choice, a way back. And in that quiet moment, with the city oblivious to the drama unfolding above, the first whispers of hope began to form. What Ali whispered next would change everything. Within 20 minutes, hundreds of people below would be left speechless, not because of a stunt, not because of luck, but because of courage, calm, and the human power to save a life with nothing more than presence and compassion. The street below was a sea of people, hundreds craned their necks upward, phones raised, recording what they could only hope would end safely. The hum of traffic and chatter had faded into the background, replaced by a single collective focus, the man on the 9th floor ledge. Ali stepped closer to the building, his eyes never leaving the man's. The wind tugged at the edge of his jacket, but he moved steadily, every motion deliberate. He knew the crowd below was tense, but he couldn't let that affect his approach. Panic was contagious. Calmness could be contagious too. The man on the ledge shifted slightly, the tips of his shoes hovering over empty space. His face was pale, eyes wide, jaw tight with fear. Ali crouched slightly, keeping his body language non-threatening. There were no sudden movements, no raised voice, no gestures that could startle him. Just steady presence. "Sir," Ali called softly, his voice carrying just enough to reach him, "it's okay. You're not alone. Step back with me. One step at a time." The man shook his head slightly. His lips trembled, and he whispered, almost inaudibly, I can't." Ali nodded slowly, letting the words sink in. He didn't rush him, didn't argue, didn't scold. "I understand," he said, "but you don't have to do this alone. Let's take a step together. Just one." Below, whispers spread through the crowd like wildfire. "Who is that man?" someone asked. "How is he so calm?" Phones continued to record, but Ali didn't glance at them. He was entirely focused on the fragile life in front of him. Minutes ticked by. The ledge seemed impossibly narrow, the drop terrifying. Each time the man swayed slightly, the crowd below gasped, some covering their mouths in horror. But Ali remained a fixed point of calm, his presence like an anchor. "Look at me," Ali said softly, meeting the man's gaze. "I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to help you. Step back with me. We can find a way." The man's eyes flicked to the edge, back to Ali, and then down at the bustling streets far below. Fear and doubt warred across his face. He trembled, but Ali stayed steady, giving silent permission for the man to trust him. Even from the crowd, people could sense it, the extraordinary calm of someone who understood that rushing, panicking, or screaming would only push the man further toward danger. Ali was quiet, deliberate, patient. Every second was measured, every word carefully chosen. The tension was unbearable. Yet in the midst of it, Ali's calm created ripples of hope. Some people in the crowd whispered prayers, others offered silent encouragement, but all of them were watching, learning that courage isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet presence that saves a life. Before Ali could continue, he glanced at the crowd and spoke aloud just enough for them to hear. "Stay calm, everyone. Your silence helps. Your hope helps. Watch carefully. Sometimes the smallest gestures make the biggest difference." At that moment, hundreds of eyes weren't just watching fear unfold, they were witnessing courage. And in the comments below this video, tell me, where are you watching from? Globe showing Europe, Africa, share your city, your town, your corner of the world. Let's see how far courage spreads. And if you believe that quiet, calm action is true strength, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that button now, because stories like this remind us that heroism isn't about fame or applause. It's about presence, humanity, compassion. Ali took a slow, careful step closer, extending his hand just enough to show the man there was a lifeline, without forcing it. The crowd held their collective breath. And in that instant, the tension in the air thickened. Everyone understood that in the next 20 minutes, the impossible could happen. Before we continue, comment below, where are you watching from? Globe showing Europe, Africa. The wind whipped sharply across the 9th floor ledge, tugging at the man's jacket and threatening to destabilize him at any moment. Below, the crowd held its collective breath. Phones hovered in mid-air, capturing every second, but nothing could replace the raw tension of the moment. Every person watching felt the thin line between life and death. Ali remained steady, crouched low, his eyes locked on the man's trembling figure. He could see the panic etched across his face, the rapid blinking, the shallow breaths, the shaking hands gripping the edge. Fear had taken a physical form. "You don't have to do this alone," Ali said again, his voice low, calm, deliberate. "I'm right here. One step at a time. Just trust me." The man's lips quivered. I can't," he whispered, barely audible over the roaring wind and distant traffic. "I've failed too many times. I can't face it anymore." Ali took a careful step closer, never taking his eyes off the man. "It's okay to feel that way," he said. "Everyone has moments when they feel weak. But stepping back now, choosing life, doesn't erase anything. It changes everything. You get another chance." A gust of wind nearly knocked the man off balance. He gasped, clutching the ledge tightly. The crowd below gasped too, heart skipping a beat. But Ali didn't flinch. He stayed present, unshaken, his calmness a tether the man could hold on to. "Look at me," Ali said, slowly extending his hand, "not too close, not too far. You're not alone. Take my hand. Just one step toward safety. That's all I ask." The man's eyes darted to the hand, then back to the void below, then back to Ali. Fear warred with a flicker of hope. Sweat beaded on his forehead, and his breathing became ragged. "Step by step," Ali murmured, his voice almost a whisper now, carried by the wind. "I'll be here. Don't think about the crowd. Don't think about your past. Think about this moment. This single step. That's all it takes." A collective silence fell over the street below. No one dared speak, no one dared move. Even the cameras were forgotten. The focus was absolute, a man's life, balanced on the edge, and another man's courage anchoring him. The man's trembling intensified. He shook his head violently. I can't," he choked out. Ali didn't respond with force or frustration. He knelt slightly, his eyes unwavering. "You're stronger than you think," he said softly. "Fear is loud, but courage is quiet. It's the small steps, the calm breaths, the choice to stay." Another gust of wind whipped around the ledge. The man's shoes slipped slightly on the concrete edge. The crowd gasped collectively, and Ali's heart skipped, but his face betrayed nothing. His voice stayed calm, steady. "You're okay. I'm here. Just one step. One step. Time. Time seemed to slow. Every heartbeat of the man, every inhale, every tremor of his body was magnified. The crowd below was frozen. Phones lowered. Silence pressed in, heavy as stone. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the man's hands loosened their grip slightly. His body wavered, his knees quivering, and then he nodded slowly, almost imperceptibly. Ali didn't rush him. He stayed steady, encouraging through presence alone. "Good," Ali said softly. "That's it. You're doing it. Keep moving. Step by step." The man exhaled shakily, shifting his weight back toward safety. Each inch felt monumental. Every small movement carried the weight of fear, regret, hope, and survival. Ali mirrored him, matching his pace, providing a steady hand invisible but felt in every word, every presence. Below, whispers began to spread among the crowd. "He's actually doing it," one woman gasped. "Look, he's listening." Minutes passed like hours. The man's feet finally found stable ground on the ledge inside the building. Ali extended his hand fully, helping him back to safety. The man collapsed onto the floor, trembling, gasping for air, but alive. Ali crouched beside him, calm, steady, and unwavering. "You're okay now," he said. "You're safe. That's what matters. You made the choice to step back, and that's courage." People on the street below erupted in cheers. Phones recorded the relief, the awe, the quiet heroism that had just unfolded. But Ali didn't look at the crowd. His focus was entirely on the man, on making sure he truly felt safe, truly felt alive. The man looked up, tears streaking his face. I don't know how to thank you," he whispered. Ali shook his head slightly. "You don't need to thank me. Just promise me you'll remember this feeling, the calm, the hope, the choice to keep going. And when someone else is on the edge, maybe you can pass it on." Below, the crowd erupted again, but Ali simply helped the man to his feet, walked him further inside, and disappeared into the building's interior, leaving behind a stunned audience. And for everyone watching this story, pause and reflect. True courage is quiet. True bravery is calm. The street below erupted in a mixture of relief, disbelief, and awe. Hundreds of people had been holding their breath, watching a life hang by a thread, and now that tension broke like a dam. Gasps, cheers, and clapping filled the air, mingling with the distant sounds of traffic. Some people cried, others hugged strangers, and many lowered their phones, unable to believe what they had just witnessed. Inside the building, Ali stayed crouched next to the man he had saved, making sure he was fully stable before letting go. The man's knees were still trembling, and his breaths came in short, uneven gasps. He clutched at his chest, trying to calm his racing heart, his eyes wide with shock. Ali remained calm, his presence a steady anchor in the storm of fear that still coursed through the man's body. "You're safe now," Ali said quietly, not too loud, just enough for the man to hear. "Everything's going to be okay. You made the right choice." The man looked at him, disbelief mixing with gratitude. I don't know how I didn't," his words faltered. He tried to laugh, a shaky sound, but it came out as a sob. Ali just smiled faintly and placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Outside, the crowd was buzzing. People shouted to one another, pointing up at the building, gesturing at where it had happened. "Did you see that?" someone exclaimed. "He just walked him back like it was nothing." Others were recording the aftermath, posting clips instantly online. The footage was already going viral, though no one yet knew the full story of the quiet hero who had saved a life. Nearby, an elderly man, leaning on a cane, muttered, "That young man, calm, steady. I've never seen courage like that before." His words caught the attention of those around him, and a hush fell. People were no longer talking excitedly, they were talking reverently. Inside, the rescued man was slowly gaining his composure. Ali had helped him to a chair and offered water, letting him regain his bearings. The gravity of what had just happened began to sink in. His body relaxed slightly, but his mind raced with what could have gone wrong. You saved me," the man whispered finally. "I don't know who you are, but you saved me." Ali shook his head gently. "It's not about me. It's about the choice you made to listen, to trust, and to step back. That's what saved you. Courage isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet decisions that matter most." The crowd outside began to disperse slowly, though many lingered, staring at the building, pointing at the window where it had happened, whispering to one another. Some were talking about heroism, some about fear, some about the incredible calmness of Ali. One woman whispered, I've seen stories about bravery, but this is something else." Inside, a few security staff and building personnel arrived, eyes wide with astonishment. They had only heard about the incident through onlookers and couldn't believe the man was safe. He just got him back inside," one of them stammered. I thought it was too late." Ollie simply nodded, giving a small smile. It wasn't too late. He just needed someone calm enough to help him see that. Meanwhile, the rescued man slowly straightened his posture, feeling a strange mixture of relief and gratitude. He looked at Ollie again, a question in his eyes that didn't need words. How could someone remain so calm, so focused, while the crowd below panicked, while danger threatened every second? Ollie's response was quiet, almost unnoticeable. Respect life. Respect people. And remember, even when everyone is watching or when no one is watching, courage can be silent. That's what matters most. Outside, someone began clapping, hesitantly at first, then more confidently. Others joined, turning it into a chorus of admiration. People were inspired not by spectacle, but by the quiet heroism they had witnessed firsthand. Some people even began taking notes, wanting to remember what real courage looked like in action. And as the rescued man finally nodded, signaling that he was okay, Ollie stood up, looked around at the crowd below, and disappeared into the building. He didn't linger for praise. He didn't ask for recognition. His calm action had already left a mark that words could never fully capture. For the crowd outside, and for anyone who saw the videos later, one thing was clear. Bravery didn't need a spotlight. Courage didn't need applause. Sometimes, the smallest, calmest actions could have the biggest impact on the world around you. And for everyone watching this story unfold, pause for a moment. Reflect on it. Share your thoughts below. Comment, "Courage inspires," if you believe even small acts of calm bravery can change lives. And don't forget to subscribe to follow stories like this, stories that remind us all that quiet heroism is often the most powerful kind of all. The rescued man, still trembling, sank onto a chair inside the building. His chest heaved as he tried to calm his racing heart. Around him, building staff whispered among themselves, eyes wide, unsure if they should ask questions or simply leave him be. Outside, the crowd was slowly dispersing, many still in disbelief at what had just unfolded. Ollie stood nearby, silent, composed, almost invisible in the chaos of emotions swirling around him. He had done what needed to be done. He had kept a life safe, and nothing more mattered to him. Yet, the building's doors suddenly swung open, and a black car screeched to a stop outside. 3 sharply dressed executives rushed in, carrying folders, tablets, and papers. Their faces were tense, urgent, and slightly awestruck. "Mr. Ollie, we've been waiting for you, sir," one of them exclaimed, his voice cracking with excitement. The crowd outside stopped in its tracks, craning to see what was happening. Phones rose again, capturing the new drama. Ollie looked at them calmly, a small smile tugging at the corners of his lips. He raised a hand slightly, signaling patience, and walked toward the executives. "Wait," whispered the building manager to a security guard, his voice barely audible. "Ollie, you mean that's him?" "Yes," the eldest executive said, stepping forward with documents in hand. "This is Ollie, the new majority owner of this building and the surrounding property. The company trusts him entirely. He has full authority." The building manager's jaw dropped. His confident posture evaporated instantly. Only moments ago, he had dismissed Ollie as just another man in the crowd, someone ordinary, perhaps even powerless. And now, the very person he had underestimated had the power to change everything about this building, this office, and the lives of everyone in it. Ollie glanced at the manager briefly, his calm demeanor unshaken. "I came here to make a routine check," he said softly, almost conversationally. "But now, I realize I'll be making a few changes." Gasps spread through the remaining staff. Some whispered nervously to one another. Phones were raised, and the scene was already trending online. One employee muttered, "All that fear, and we didn't even realize who we were dealing with." The manager, who had once been so full of arrogance, faltered. His face turned pale. "Sir, I didn't know," he stammered. I just—" Ollie raised a hand to stop him. "That's exactly the problem," he said. You shouldn't have to know someone's power or position to show respect. You should show it to everyone, every person, every day, especially when no one is watching. The room went silent. Even the rescued man looked on in awe. Ali's words weren't just about power, they were about humility, about recognizing the humanity in everyone. And in that silence, a lesson louder than any boardroom lecture echoed through every corner of the building. Then Ali turned to the old clerk, the one employee who had remained respectful and calm throughout the chaos. "From today, you're the new branch manager," he said quietly. The clerk's eyes widened, disbelief and pride mixing in equal measure. The building manager sank to his knees, trembling. "Sir, I'm so sorry. I didn't know what I was doing," he whispered. But Ali didn't need apologies. His goal had never been punishment. It was awareness, humility, and change. Outside, the crowd was buzzing with questions. Who was Ali? How had he saved a life and turned the tables so dramatically? Phones captured his quiet exit, his calm walk away from the chaos, leaving behind a lesson that no one would soon forget. And for those watching this story online, the reveal is clear. Respect isn't about status. True power isn't about authority. Courage, humility, and kindness leave a bigger mark than any title or position ever could. If you're watching this story, comment below, fire or forgive. What would you do if someone disrespected you without knowing your worth? Let's see who has the biggest heart. Red heart. And don't forget to subscribe to follow more stories that show courage, humility, and the quiet moments that change lives. These are the moments that remind us all that heroism isn't loud, it's deliberate, thoughtful, and compassionate. Ali walked out of the building, calm as ever, leaving behind people changed forever, both the man he saved and everyone who had witnessed it. And for anyone still watching, take a moment to reflect. True strength is in lifting others, not in asserting power. True respect is earned in moments of quiet action, not loud declarations. Before we continue, hit subscribe and comment below. Courage is everything, if you believe. The building was quiet now, the earlier chaos replaced by a tense calm. The rescued man, still trembling slightly, leaned against the wall, trying to absorb what had just happened. His life had been hanging by a thread only minutes ago, and now he was safe, alive, because of Ali. Ali stood beside him, his calm presence steadying the man even more. There were no cameras pointed at him here, no crowd to cheer his actions. Just silence. And yet, the weight of what had happened was enormous. One small moment, one quiet decision, had rippled outward and changed everything for everyone who had witnessed it. The building manager, still on his knees, could barely meet Ali's eyes. His face was pale, hands trembling, voice shaky. "Sir, I'm so sorry. I had no idea who you were. I acted out of arrogance," he stammered. Ali looked down at him, expression calm but firm. "That's exactly the problem," he said softly. "Respect isn't something you show only to the rich, or the powerful, or those you think might matter. Respect is for everyone. Every person you meet deserves it, especially when you think no one is watching." The manager lowered his head, swallowing the lump in his throat. His ego, once inflated, had been dismantled in minutes by a lesson far more powerful than any reprimand. I understand now," he whispered, voice cracking. I won't forget this, sir." Ali nodded slightly. "Good. That's all I ask." He then turned to the old clerk, the one employee who had stayed calm and respectful from the very beginning. The clerk had watched quietly, never raising his voice, never laughing, never mocking. Ali's eyes softened as he addressed him. "From today, you are the new branch manager. You understand what it means to stay calm under pressure. You understand what it means to show respect even when it's not required. Lead with that, and you'll never go wrong." The clerk's eyes widened, disbelief and gratitude written across his face. "Sir, I don't know what to say," he whispered. "Don't say anything," Ali replied with a small, calm smile. "Actions speak louder than words. Lead by example. That's the only thing anyone will ever truly remember." The rescued man, slowly regaining his composure, looked at Ali with a mixture of awe and gratitude. I don't know how to thank you," he said, his voice shaking. "You saved my life, but you taught me something. About courage, about calm, about about humanity. Ali shook his head slightly. You don't need to thank me. Just remember this moment. Remember that courage is often quiet. That strength is often calm. And when you can, pass it on to someone else. Outside, the crowd began to disperse slowly. Phones had recorded every moment, and the story was already spreading online. People were talking about the bravery they had witnessed, the calm heroism, the quiet authority of Ali's presence. Some whispered about how rare it was to see such humility paired with courage. Others were inspired to reflect on their own behavior in the world. Inside, Ali finally stepped back, allowing the rescued man to take his first real breaths of relief. He adjusted his jacket, ready to leave quietly as he always did. He didn't linger for applause or recognition. The lesson he had imparted was already far greater than any attention he could receive. The building manager stayed kneeling a moment longer, thinking about everything that had happened. His arrogance had been shattered, replaced with a profound respect for humility and human life. And even in that small office, a shift had taken place. People were already changing, how they viewed themselves, how they treated others, how they understood the weight of a calm presence in a chaotic world. As Ali finally walked toward the exit, he looked back once more. The rescued man was safe. The employees were learning. And the city outside continued its busy rhythm, unaware of the quiet lesson that had unfolded above them. And for everyone watching this story, here's the truth. Bravery isn't always about dramatic gestures. Heroism isn't always about being loud or showing off. True courage often comes in silence, in presence, in careful words and steady actions when everything around you is chaotic. Before Ali left completely, he turned slightly to the camera, a subtle nod to those witnessing this story online. And for those watching, comment below, courage is calm, if you believe real strength comes from inner composure, not outward display. And don't forget to subscribe. Follow these stories of quiet heroism, life-changing courage, and everyday people making extraordinary choices. Because the world needs more calm strength, more humility, more courage that speaks without shouting. Ali walked out into the street, unnoticed by most, leaving behind a story, a lesson, and a life changed forever. And those who had seen him act that day would never forget the power of calm, quiet courage. The city had returned to its usual rhythm, cars honking, people rushing, footsteps echoing on the sidewalks. But inside the building, and in the minds of those who had witnessed it, something profound lingered. A life had hung in the balance, and a quiet act of courage had shifted everything. Ali's calm had not just saved a man from falling, it had taught everyone present a lesson far greater than fear or chaos could ever convey. It was the kind of lesson that doesn't arrive in loud proclamations, flashy gestures, or public praise. It's a lesson that whispers quietly, sinks in slowly, and changes hearts forever. Respect, courage, and humility, these were not words to Ali. They were principles lived in the moment, actions visible only to those who truly paid attention. He had shown that bravery isn't always dramatic. True power doesn't shout. It doesn't demand recognition. Real strength is silent, steady, and unwavering. The building manager, once brimming with arrogance, had learned that respect is earned in small moments, not granted because of rank or authority. The rescued man, who had been on the ledge, now understood that courage comes not from the absence of fear but from the choice to act despite it. The old clerk, now promoted, realized that calm presence, patience, and quiet respect could move mountains, or at least save lives. And for those who had seen it all unfold, the crowd outside, the employees inside, the millions who would later watch the footage online, the lesson was clear. Every interaction, every choice, every moment carries weight. How you treat others, how you respond under pressure, how you choose to act when it matters most, that is where true power lives. Ali had walked away quietly, unnoticed by most, but the impact of his presence would echo for years. Lives had been touched, lessons had been learned, and courage had been witnessed in its most authentic form. He left a ripple in the world, small, silent, but undeniable. Now, for everyone watching this story online, there's a message you can take with you. Respect isn't something you show only to those with status, wealth, or power. It's something you show to every person you meet, especially when no one is watching. The quiet, calm decisions we make every day define the kind of people we are. If you believe humility is true strength, if you believe that courage can be quiet yet powerful, type respect in the comments below. Tell me where you're watching from, your city, your town, your corner of the world. Let's celebrate every person who chooses kindness, courage, and calm over chaos. Globe showing Europe, Africa. And don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe to follow stories that remind us what real bravery looks like. Stories of quiet strength, life-changing decisions, and ordinary people rising to extraordinary challenges. These are the stories that inspire, the stories that teach, and the stories that remind us all that our actions, no matter how small, matter. Think about the last time you were faced with fear, chaos, or someone in need. Did you step forward quietly? Did you act with calm courage? Ali's story shows us that even one moment of composed action can change lives. It doesn't need a spotlight. It doesn't need applause. It only needs heart. So take this lesson with you. True power is silent. True respect is earned. And true courage changes the world, one quiet action at a time. Ali's story is over, but the ripple continues. The man on the ledge survived. The employees learned humility. The city witnessed courage. And you, watching this now, have the opportunity to carry that lesson forward. Type respect in the comments, hit subscribe, and remember, every small act of courage, respect, and humility matters. Because one day, the person you help quietly might be the one inspiring hundreds, thousands, or even millions. The world changes in quiet ways, but the impact lasts forever. Type respect in the comments if you believe real courage is calm and silent. Flex